Welcome to another episode of the Wisco Fanatic Show, where we cover the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, and Badgers basketball and football teams from an optimistic and realistic perspective.
Alrighty, welcome back to another Wisco Fanatics Wednesday. We have a lot of baseball to talk about today, so we're going to grip it and rip it because we have 7, should have had 8, hashtag get a roof, St. Louis, but 7 Milwaukee Brewers baseball games to talk about. And then we have to thank our following because it was suggested to us to cover some of the minor league teams throughout the season and kind of give some updates. So what Jake and I came up with is basically there's 4 Wednesdays in most months. And we got 4 levels of minor league play to cover. So today we're also going to have a AAA report for the Nashville Sounds so you guys can kind of get an idea of what's going on with the talent down there. I'll be honest, I don't care about the records of any of those teams because the Brewers record is the one that matters when we're talking about organizations. Nobody celebrates AAA championships or AA championships. Yeah, it's cool, but people want World Series. So we're going to focus on the players and their numbers and what we think of their chances of making any sort of noise in the major league level. So today's going to be our first AAA report, but we're going to jump back to last week and talk about the second game out of 3 versus the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I'm just going to jump in on that AAA stuff real quick, the minor league stuff, I should say. You know, I agree with you with the records because the main part of that is the development. They're called development leagues. So it's just a development of the talent, which obviously over the last decade, they have been doing a tremendous job of. They always get guys like Jackson Churriel going, which I'm very excited we get to talk about with the final 2 games today. He was going crazy, but you know, just developing that talent and now having the number 1 farm system in all of baseball. So they got a lot of talent to develop, and they got their hands full. And it's very exciting to be talking about that kind of stuff. Kind of keeps you in the loop. It almost to me feels like when we cover the draft more and you're always talking and telling the followers, like, it just makes us know the league more. Like, yeah, this is going to make us understand the Brewers a little bit more. And because of that, it's going to make us understand the rest of baseball more, what these guys are valued at around the league, not just with our organization. So I'm very excited about adding that to our coverage this year with the Brewers. But going back to April 29th on May 6th, we have to unfortunately talk about a loss. And Sproat was on the mound for this one. 4 1/3, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, and 5 Ks. You know, this is what I wrote down. Brewers stacked the traffic, but never got the hit that they needed to break it open. They did score in the first and the third. Only 2 hits after the third, including 13 straight retired. So the offense was just They seem like they have at least one game like this per week where they just have one game where it's just they're not hitting with runners in scoring position. In this one, particularly, they were 1 for 10 runners in scoring position. They did have 5 doubles on the day, though. Sproat was humming along the first 3 innings. He struck out the first 4 batters, so his stuff was moving. His horizontal movement on his fastball is just, or his cutter, I should say, not his fastball. He has a couple of different variations of a fastball, but the movement on his cutter is just unreal, dude. For him to be able to throw that in the mid to upper 90s and it has 18 inches of horizontal break is just disgusting stuff. But he got hit hard in the 4th inning. He gave up a home run, a couple singles, and another home run. Then he got ground out and a fly out to get out of the 4th inning. So, like I've said before about Miz, it's good for these young guys to go through that and have some adversity. D.L. Hall, he's going to be a really hot topic this week. He's been really, really underrated this year. Yeah. I thought he did a really nice job getting the first 2 outs in the 7th, and then he gave up a walk and a single, but no earned runs. So no harm, no foul, 3 Ks in his 2 and the 3rd innings of work. Fitzpatrick had an MLB debut on this day as well. So just want to take a step back and not be so serious for a second. This is the thing that I think I appreciate most about baseball because you get so many of these moments around the entire league. It's not like you get them in basketball too, I suppose. You get some guys coming up 2-way contracts and stuff. But football, football dominates this country. And really just the debut is just week 1, right? Yep. I mean, it could be sporadic throughout the season for some guys. But, for the most part, it's within the first 1 or 2 weeks. But, in baseball, it could be at any point in the season. really. Guys can get called up because of injuries and stuff like that.
It could be a Tuesday night in the middle of June.
Yeah. So for this to happen, like you're saying, this was a Wednesday night, the 29th of April, and we have a MLB debut. So it's just something to really watch for and appreciate. And it really makes you feel human when you see stuff like that, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But he was kind of thrown into the fire, 2 on and 2 out, gave up an infield single and then got a fly out on a slider, had a clean 8th. Then Anderson, who has been good, he did have a rough inning. He gave up 2 home runs in the 9th inning for the Diamondbacks to pad onto their lead. And the Brewers, like I said, really didn't get anything going offensively. So that's just how that game went. And you just move on to the next day.
Yeah, I agree with you on Brandon Sproat. He was decent. He only got through 4 1/3 innings on 82 pitches, but the main blemish was the 3-run home run that he gave up to Nolan Arenado. That's going to happen to you once in a while. Nolan Arenado's going to hit some home runs once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a bummer that it came after a pair of singles. I mean, we talked about it with Freddie Peralta for the last 5 years. If you can give up home runs, it's better to do it when nobody's on base because those ones with guys on base hurt you. Yeah. His velocity did get lower in the 5th inning, but only threw 52 out of 82 strikes. That's a little bit low. You'd like to see him throwing more strikes. Conversely, DL Hall was really good in his relief role. He had 2 1/3 innings pitched, only 1 hit, 1 walk with 3 strikeouts, like Jake said. He threw 24 out of 42 pitches for strikes. That's almost 60%. And then he was 6 for 9 on first pitch strikes, which is 67%, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
I do think DL Hall is starting to carve a role for himself a little bit as a long reliever. He's also one of the main guys that they turn to if they're going to use an opener. I know they used Aaron Ashby in that role, but I think DL Hall is one of those guys where if you put him in as an opener, he could give you 1 inning, he could give you 3 innings. And the same goes for if you have a guy come out of the game in the 4th inning and they've been using Drowan a little bit in the same role, that those guys can give you 2 1/3, 3, innings in the middle of a game and help your bullpen. I think that's going to make those guys kind of some unsung heroes at the end of the season. Going forward, you mentioned Fitzpatrick making his debut. I'll hold off to give his stats till we get to the AAA report, but his stats are fantastic. It's not a shock why he was the one that was called up because he's got some pretty great AAA numbers. Mm-hmm. Against the Diamondbacks, pitched an inning in the 3rd, 2 hits, a walk, no runs. His command was a little bit iffy, but he did well. And then you mentioned Grant Anderson's struggles. If he's going to struggle, better for it to be in a game that kind of looks like a loss. Not that I'm saying you want to concede a loss in any situation, but better for it to happen in a game where you're already trailing than in a game where you're tied or you have a 1-run lead.
Can I give my medium take on
Sure.
DL Hall? I think that DL Hall, with the way that he's looked this year, is going to slide into that Aaron Ashby role, and Aaron Ashby is going to take over for Zerpa.
Oh, I'm with that. I'm definitely with that.
That's like I didn't want to call it a hot take because there's like logic. Like I try to think logically.
Yeah,
but it's also not a cold take because like it makes sense.
I would say the medium part of it is I still feel that DL Hall is going to give you a little bit more length.
Yeah, that's where it's tough because you don't want to just burn DL Hall for a 1/3 of an inning or 2/3 of an inning when you can get 2 innings out of him. You know what I mean? So
yeah, he's not the guy that you want to bring in just to finish a lefty-lefty matchup.
Yep,
that's what Aaron Ashby has been. We've seen it with guys like Sproat getting pulled a little bit early. It's to take them away from lefty-lefty matchups. Like guys like Riley Green. Like if you don't want Brandon Sproat to face Riley Green a 3rd time, like you're going to put in Aaron Ashby.
Makes sense.
I mean, we're going to be playing the Yankees this weekend. I mean, their main power hitter is a righty, but it's going to be. I'm trying to think others like super prominent lefties. Like if you're going to have Bryce Harper at the plate and you don't want Chad Patrick facing him a 3rd time, like you're going to put in Aaron Ashby.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Offensively, like you mentioned, not the best day. The 4th through the 9th inning, the Brewers had 2 hits and 3 walks, 0 runs. 4th inning, they had the bases loaded for Bryce Durang, down 4-2. That was your best chance. And again, we had this conversation with the Tigers games last week. If you can get Bryce Durang to the plate with the bases loaded and a chance to take a lead, that's all you can ask for. Yes. At the end of the year, there's going to be situations where he comes through in those spots. Brewers had 4 walks and 10 strikeouts. There's a pretty direct correlation between higher strikeouts and losses versus lower strikeouts and wins. It's not a shocker. But it was kind of a weird day, though. Arizona had 6 hits, had 4 walks, also had 10 strikeouts, and still played at 10 runs. The Brewers had 6 hits, 4 walks, 10 strikeouts, and only scored 2 runs. The lack of power is where Milwaukee is hurt. And Jake and I had a long conversation before this show started about a certain team down south that their season looks a little bleak right now, and they have a bad ranked farm system. So maybe the Brewers and the Astros can help each other a little bit. So that's 100% credit to Jake because he's on to something there.
I might be. I'm hoping.
You're definitely on to something. Whether anything actually happens out of it remains to be seen. But we can switch talking about a win, and let's go to the third game against the Diamondbacks. And I want to start just because I want to talk about Brandon Woodruff because his velocity was really low early. He came out after an inning and a third. He went on the 15-day injured list, not the 60-day, so that is a silver lining there.
Yes.
He said his arm just felt dead, so they're just giving him a little bit of time off. They did it with Kyle Harrison. He got 10 days off. He came back. He struck out 12. So let's just give him a little bit of time, see what he does, and that's the cautious you want to be because we want Brandon Woodruff pitching in October, not in May.
Yes.
Super clutch for Shane Drowan to come in and give 4 innings pitched after the 2/3 innings by Grant Anderson. Drowan gave up 5 hits, no walks, 4 strikeouts, 1 earned run, and he got his first big league W. So great day for Shane Drowan.
Yeah.
And I'm going to pat myself on the back real quick because last Wednesday I talked about the previous Friday and a day where Brandon Woodruff got hit kind of hard by the Pirates and the Brewers got shut out. And Shane Drowan gave the Brewers 4 innings in relief that day. This is Shane Drowan being rewarded for that by giving those same 4 innings and getting a win. It's just as important as those 4 innings that he gave in that shutout loss to the Pirates because it helps the bullpen. That stuff 100% matters, and Shane Drowan super clutch in this game, and it helped the Brewers get a win. Obviously, there was plenty of offense, so they didn't have to do too much pitching-wise, but, holding your opponent to 1 run and a decent team like the Diamondbacks, I think, is good. Playing with an early lead feels warm and fuzzy. It's good for the vibes. The Brewers saw 35 pitches in the first inning and scored 3 runs. They got Soroka over 60 pitches before recording an out in the 3rd inning. That sucks. They tacked on 2 runs with a monster 419-foot bomb by William Contreras and a 3rd RBI for Luis Rengifo. The Brewers got the starter out of the game after just 3 innings plus and 79 pitches. That's a lot of pitches to throw in 3+ innings.
Yeah.
Brewers had 10 hits, 2 walks, and only 2 strikeouts to score 8 runs. That is awesome. Tyler Black, getting hot. His playing time's been a little bit more sporadic in the last couple of days, but through the Diamondbacks' 3rd game, he was batting .389, and the 4 games between this game and the previous 3, batting 7 for 15. That's a .467 stretch with 2 doubles, 6 RBI, and only 3 strikeouts. So Tyler Black getting super hot. That is good news for the Brewers. This was William Contreras' first of 2 kick-ass days. He was 4 for 4 at the plate, 2 extra base hits, double and a home run, 4 RBI and a walk on top of it. But the Brewers, 14 hits, 6 walks, only 6 strikeouts. That's fantastic. Anytime they're under like 8 or 9, that's amazing. Yeah. 10 is kind of that gray area number. Once you get over 10, that's kind of a lot of strikeouts. So great day at the team. They scored off of every single pitcher that the Diamondbacks put in the game, which is awesome. That just shows you're continuing to stay locked in at the plate. I had absolutely 0 complaints for the 3rd game against the Diamondbacks.
Yeah. So to go off of you, everybody knew Woody's arm was dead, and I was really hoping, I was like, dude, just the 15-day. And then he said he felt no pain. They put him on the 15-day, and, getting you guys up to date to today, the Brewers are hopeful that he'll start throwing on Saturday. From the latest report, so that's really, really good to hear. I want to
think that he's tracking like right when that 15 days is up. That's when he'll be back.
Yeah. So shout out to Drowan. I agree with you, but I want to give a really big shout out to Grant Anderson, who, just hours before this game, he has to come in after giving up 2 home runs. He has to come in a situation that he's not used to. So those are 2 big outs that he got. Also shout out to Woody for getting 2 strikeouts with an 85-mile-per-hour fastball. I wrote that the changeup was a big part of it because they were both off the changeup. Who
that's the thing is like, even though Woodruff, his velocity wasn't there, that man is still a painter.
Oh yeah, I said he had his Bob Ross going on.
Oh.
I said largely due to his changeup and his ability to be Bob Ross with a baseball.
I love that. Dude, Brandon Woodruff is Bob Ross. I can mock that up. That can happen.
Yeah, that'd be a good meme, actually. Just have him holding a baseball.
Some happy little strikeouts.
Yeah, dude. Oh, dude, the painting could be the strikeouts. That's tough. Anyways, we're just creating ideas right here.
Shows live in case you couldn't tell.
Drowan, over his last 2 outings, I think has looked much more confident in my opinion, standing up a little bit straighter. No hits in the 3rd and 5th. The 4th inning, a double and a couple singles gave Arizona their first run, and a couple hits in the 6th, but no runs. But while all that was happening, the Brewers' bats were all clicking. 3 runs in the 1st, 3-run 3rd, 2-run 4th, 3-run 6th, 1 in the 7th, and the 8th inning. I mean, they were just scoring early and often. Early and consistent offense is something that I talked about last week. And when the Brewers score early, I think they just win. Like, honest to God, if they score in the first freaking inning, I think they win. Like, I should have wrote that stat down. I should look it up when we're talking about the next game. But, I wanted to give a shout-out to Tyler Black as well. 2 for 4, 3 RBIs and a walk. Rengifo in on the RBI party. Both those guys had 2 two-out RBIs as well. So adding to that total, which the Brewers are now second in all of baseball. That is up to date, by the way. Contreras, 4 for 4, like you said. He's not the only player to go 4 for 4 on the Brewers this week, which is really stupid to say. He also added 3 runs to his total that Tyler talked about earlier. So just a really, really good game. Just really nice to just really beat the crap out of somebody. And honestly, if they would have cashed in on a few more opportunities in the second game of this series, they would have literally beat the shit out of the Diamondbacks all 3 games.
3 times in a row. Yeah.
But I'll take 2 out of 3, right? We take 2 out of 3 every single time.
That's 100% right. If you win 2 out of 3, you're on pace to win about 104 games. So,
and then we're going to start talking about a series that they did take 2 out of 3. So
that's all you can ask for.
That's all I can ask for. And as we turn the page to May, the Brewers are in the nation's capital. Mizorowski's on the mound. The Miserati, 5 1/3. He only had to come out because he had cramping in his right hamstring. Well, it was his right one.
Dude, I literally wrote in my notes the only thing that could stop Jacob Mizorowski was dehydration.
Yeah, that's insane. He gave up no hits. No hits. 0 hits, 2 walks, and he had 8 Ks. He had 41 pitches at 100+ miles per hour. That is just
so dumb.
Stupid.
That's crazy.
He had 19 swings and misses as well. Contreras, great offensive game for him. Back-to-back 4-hit games. He's the first Brewers catcher in team history to be able to do that, and he's the first Brewer to have back-to-back 4-hit games since Casey McGee. Dude, just a little pause real quick. I was literally talking at work to one of my coworkers, and I was like, man, we get no offense from shortstop, get no offense from third base, and we just started naming off like old players that played shortstop and third base and stuff, and I was like, man, I just remember Casey McGee was just like Linsanity for Brewers fans for like 2 years, bro. Like, he was just good for 2 years for no reason at all. He came out of nowhere, and then he just disappeared.
Linsanity for Brewers is hilarious.
So, yeah, I mean, I was like, I love Casey McGee. So other than that, let's get started back after Mizorowski goes out. Ashby gave up the first hit in the 7th. It was a really good effort by Lockers to try and keep the no-no going, but
yep.
Got to give Tyler credit. He said they put it up too early.
They did. One
I agree
too
with
early.
you.
Don't post that shit in the 6th.
I think so. After you said it, I really started thinking about it. Like, I'm okay with the 7th inning because you only have 9 more outs. But I think 8th inning is where you really start it.
I agree.
So, like, if you get through 7 innings of no hit, then you can post that shit to start the 8th inning.
Yep.
Like, I'm cool, and don't post it when we're hitting. By the way,
no.
You have to.
Post
you have
it when
to put
the
it
pitcher
on there.
comes in for the 8th.
Yeah, you have to put when they're batting in the 8th inning. That's when I think you start it. But that's my only gripe with that, I guess.
Steve, we agree. The Brewers are at a pretty decent spot with the guys they're getting back. And yes, the division is crazy, but the Pirates were also in first place at the end of April last year. So,
yeah. So I mean, listen. I think the Cubs are going to be there. I talked about it. We both talked about it. I think that the Cardinals are a little young, so I'm expecting them to hit a wall at some point.
Yep.
The Pirates will be improved, but I still think that they'll hit a wall at some point.
I think they're still going to be slightly under 500.
I think they'll be maybe 500. Like they might finish 81 and 81. And then the Reds might have 83 to 84 wins. I don't think they're sustainable either, even though they have a really good bullpen right now. I still think it's the Brewers or the Cubs that win this division.
Yep.
And I still think the Brewers are in play for a playoff spot. I mean, we're talking about this on May 6th, dude. So, I mean, everything's going to be just fine. The offense looks way better since Churio and Vaughn have come back. And we don't even have Yelly back yet. And we can add talent by doing a trade. So, I mean, not worried at all. The pitching will be fine. Getting back into it after the hit. Brewers were up 4-0 at the time. So, it is what it is. Brewers State. I talked about this because I told you the day before that I love Garrett Mitchell in the leadoff spot. So I had to write it in my notes. I was like, yes, Mitchell stayed in the leadoff spot. Love this. And he got rewarded because he crushed a double in the first inning, which he ended up scoring on, right, by the way. Brewers scored again in the first inning, and they won. I think I might be on to something with that, too. Terrain grounded to move him over, and Mitchell ended up scoring on a wild pitch. So, I mean, literally just speed just kills. And the Brewers statistically are the fastest team in Major League Baseball. An RBI from Contreras in the third. Scored Hamilton after he and Terang walked 2-0. Two more runs in the fifth after Brewers got single from Terang and Contreras and a walk from Bowers. Rengifo got a fielder's choice. Then Black scorched a double to make it 4-0 after giving up one. The Brewers got two back from a Contreras single to score two. When they had bases loaded again, had them loaded. With no outs, Mitchell and Terang both got out. So clutch hitting from Milwaukee's hottest guy. When I'm talking about that, I mean Contreras at this point. So very clutch hitting from him. Another 2-out RBI for him. And Ashby got Brewers through the eighth. McGee one walk, but then he got a double play to end it. So Contreras had two more 2-out RBIs. Black had a 2-out RBI. So clutch hitting from the Brewers. And, you only needed to use three pitchers and you gave up two hits. So just really, really good back-to-back wins for the Brewers to get the feelings back to normal Milwaukee baseball style.
So to your point, Garrett Mitchell is 11th on the team in batting average.
Okay.
But he is 7th in on-base percentage.
Okay.
And that includes Jefferson Cuero at batting 500 and Jackson Churio, who just came back yesterday.
Oh, shit.
Or Monday. So if you take out the guys that have 2 games played, Bryce Terang or Garrett Mitchell would be 5th on the team in on-base percentage. The other guys above him, Gary Sanchez, Christian Yelich, who is not currently playing, Tyler Black, and Bryce Terang.
Dang.
So, I mean, out of those guys, maybe you could throw Tyler Black in the leadoff spot here and there. I'm not opposed to that because he's got decent speed. But other than that, like you want Garrett Mitchell in your leadoff spot because you want Gary Sanchez and you want Bryce Terang batting with guys on base. So. Yeah. In this first game against the Nationals, my first things that I have written down in bold and all capitals is stay hot, William. For another 4 hits, 3 RBI, and a clutch challenge. Clutch challenge. Hell yeah. The biggest thing for me from the day for William Contreras is actually something he did behind the plate, not at it. A 3-1 pitch to James Wood kept him at the plate. Originally called a ball. James Wood is halfway to first base, thinking he's got to walk, and William Contreras challenges him at the plate. Keeps him there, and that ended up being a strikeout. So fantastic challenge for William Contreras because that turned into a strikeout that could have been a walk. In that situation, super clutch challenge. That was just a great job by Aaron Ashby to get that strikeout. And yes, Aaron Ashby did allow the first hit of the game. Not that big of a deal. Aaron Ashby and Jacob Mizorowski combined to retire 15 straight batters at one point. Easton McGee finished the 9th inning, and that was about it. The Brewers gave up just the 1 run. Looking at it, Tyler Black, for him to go opposite field for 2 doubles, if he can do that regularly, his hitting profile gets even higher than it already is. He profiles as a good contact hitter. He knows the strike zone. If he's using the opposite field effectively, he's going to be really hard to send down. So that's, as a Tyler Black truther, I'm really excited to see him doing that. He's up to 9 hits through the last 5 games up through the first game of the National Series. Other than that, I mean, the Brewers had 5 early strikeouts, basically guessing for breaking balls and getting fastballs. It's not necessarily the greatest situation you want to be in, but that's kind of what you have to do in baseball. You kind of have to try to play the guessing game of if you're going to get a breaking ball or a fastball, and if you get the one that you're looking for, you got to swing at it and you got to do something with it. So Brian said, let's go Packers. Actually, Jake and I were just talking Packers a little bit last night, but we just let the draft simmer a little bit before we're going to get back into the Packers. But yes, we appreciate it. Going into game 2 against the Nationals, and the Brewers were able to pull off 2 wins, so they get the series win right away. I got to say, the first thing I'm going to do is give credit to Foster Griffin for the Nationals, because that dude's pretty good.
Yeah.
He came in with really good numbers. He had a 2.67 ERA in 6 starts, 30 strikeouts, only 10 walks. But great pitching is not immune to being brewered. We'll say that, which happened in the first inning. The Brewers took the bases empty, no outs, to a 3-0 first inning lead. Sorry, bases empty. I think I meant to write 2 outs on that situation. To a 3-0 lead. Spoiler alert for today's game. William Contreras, a 3-2 single. Gary Sanchez drew a walk. Jake Bowers drew a walk. And Luis Rengifo reached on an error on a pretty routine ground ball. That is the Nationals' 31st error of the season. They lead Major League Baseball in errors.
Yep.
For all the people complaining about Joey Ortiz, this is the kind of stuff that happens to you when you lead the league in errors. And I get that he's not batting great. But, again, like, defense is still important. Like, they're not going to send him down and call up Cooper Pratt just because you don't like his bat. Like, they're not going to be that reactionary, even though it is May 6th.
Mm-hmm.
If it's July 6th, we can talk. That's when around the time that I was thinking maybe Cooper Pratt comes up.
Yep.
With that, Brandon Lockridge hit a single between the third baseman and the shortstop, made a 3-0 lead. And I wanted to throw this out there. Through the second game of the National Series, Brandon Lockridge batting .409 with runners in scoring position.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. And we can talk about it when we get into AAA. I'm sure we're going to have a conversation about Luis Lara. But damn, Brandon Lockridge, for him to be clutch with bases, with runners in scoring position and having a high batting average in that type of scenario, love that for him, love that for us. Kyle Harrison, 12 strikeouts last Sunday. He didn't get his first strikeout until the third inning of this game, but he did get 2 ground into double plays. Gave up a leadoff double that came around to score on a C.J. Abrams single. That was C.J. Abrams' 27th RBI of the season. He's one of my favorite non-Brewers players. He's really good. I'm super high on C.J. Abrams. But Kyle Harrison got all 3 outs on strikeouts. In the fourth, he threw 6 great innings of 1-run ball. Brewers as a staff only allowed 1 walk to the Nationals. That's a really good way to keep your opponent at only 1 run for the game. The Brewers in the 8th inning started playing hit it where they ain't. Luis Rengifo, batting as a lefty, hit a dribbler up the third base chalk line at 79.5 miles an hour off the bat. A hit and run for Brandon Lockridge to slap one 82.6 miles an hour right where the second baseman was just standing. It's got to be maddening to play against. I can't even imagine like how irritated that would be.
They talked about it during today's game that the managers and like media team always come up to the Brewers and talk about how they're trying to get their team to play like our team.
Yeah, that's fun. And then Sal hit a ball off of his knuckles, like a ball so far inside. I have no idea how that ball ended up in left center field. But 86.7 miles an hour off the bat to load the bases for Joey Ortiz, who had an RBI ground out to make the game 4-1, the final score. But Trevor McGill pitched an 8th inning that went 1-2-3 against the 2-3-4 hitters in the national order. Abner Uribe allowed a single in the 9th and then got a pop-up to shallow left. David Hamilton dropped it. He took his eyes off of it too early. That's just one of those things where even your best defenders are going to have errors once in a while. I mean, we just talked about one from Joey Ortiz. He had one today, and we'll talk about one from Bryce Durang that happened this week. But you play 162 baseball games, you're going to make an error once in a while.
It's going to happen, right?
It's going to happen. But Brandon Lockridge, I think, maybe could have called him off. But that allowed the tying run to come to the plate with no outs. And Abner Uribe went strikeout, pop-up, ground out, and avoided James Wood, kept him on deck. So no harm, no foul. I think it was another pretty good game for the Brewers.
Yeah, so you go into Saturday, and you've got Kyle Harris on the mound coming off a 12 strikeout game, and you're like, hell yeah, dude. Like, it's time to get our get back on the Nationals after what they did to us in Milwaukee.
Yep.
And the Brewers, as of late, going into this one, they've been getting a lot of early offense, and I love that, man. Brewers pitchers can go on the mound, especially on the road, with a lead. It's just a little bit more relaxing feeling for them. They've been winning a lot more lately as well. They were up 3-0 after another 3-run inning in the first inning. They rode that 3-run first all game, literally all game. They scratched across the run in the 8th inning thanks to a bases loaded ground out from Ortiz. Pitching, especially the bullpen and Harrison, getting some clutch double plays in the 1st and 3rd inning. They got one in the bottom of the 1st, and he got one in the bottom of the 3rd that won this game for them. So the Brewers defense showed up. The Brewers bullpen showed up. Anderson and Hall were terrific in this one. I know Hall was only in there for a third of an inning, but, very good third of an inning for him. Really good pitch sequence for him. Something that we could start breaking down a little bit more as pitch sequence to these guys. McGill, you talked about him. Uribe, you talked about him. And Lockridge, man, that is just such a key thing for us to unlock, to have a guy on the bench who can play multiple defensive positions. We talk about it a lot in football and basketball as being positionless. You don't really talk about that much in baseball, but a guy like Lockridge, you can basically stick anywhere in the outfield. You feel good about his ability to read the ball off the bat, get good jumps, and play good defense. Now, if he's giving you clutch 2-out hits, that's just, when Yelly comes back with Churio back and Mitchell, who was scratched from the lineup today, nothing serious. The Brewers said it was just an illness. So it's not like it's, bodily harm that he was doing, which when he got scratched, I was like, Jesus Christ, please no. Please no.
I'm like, just be sick.
I was like, I swear to God, if I hear that it's a hamstring or something, I'm going to be so fucking mad, dude. But
we're supposed to go into the other game where somebody else got scratched because they were sick. So I'm like, okay, please just be sick.
So, it is what it is. But, yeah, just a really good old-fashioned win for the Brewers, win 4-1. And you move on to Sunday.
So the third game of the series is the one that Bryce Durang was scratched for an illness. So when I saw scratched, I'm like, oh. Hope he's just sick like Turang was the other day. So going to game 3 of the National Series, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't have much to say about this one, but what did you have for thoughts?
There was really not much that happened in this game to be said, to be honest with you. Henderson was terrific, so I want to give him a shout-out. 6 innings. He retired the first 12 batters that he faced. Really, really good. Went 6 innings, allowed just 2 runs, struck out 8, and had no walks. If I would have told you that freaking stat line before this game, you'd be like, nice, Brewers won, huh?
Yeah, Brewers won like 6-2.
No, they didn't. They decided not to hit the goddamn ball. They really, really missed Turang in this game, to be honest with you.
Yep, I agree.
They could have used his speed and his contact, his sneaky power at the plate, but they didn't have it. The offense was dead all day, really. Brewers had a chance to steal it after James Wood lost the ball in the sun. Bowers got a single, 2 on, 1 out. Mitchell got an RBI with a ground out. Lockridge, who had a double earlier in this one, had a chance to play leader, but he had a strikeout. So, it was a good fight. They got RBIs from Mitchell and Ortiz. But, that's just the way it goes sometimes, man.
Yeah, the Brewers offense only being able to cash in 2 runs on only 4 hits and 2 walks. That does not leave you a lot of base runners.
No.
And then the fact that both of the runs that they scored came on outs. It's a bummer.
It really is.
I agree with you. They could have used Bryce Durang. It is what it is. Like you mentioned, Henderson was perfect through 4 innings. It only took him 38 pitches to go through those first 4 innings. His fastball was just eating. I'm excited that we get to see him again before Brandon Woodruff comes back.
Yeah.
His first hit allowed came on a hot ground ball. As he fell off of the mound trying to cover first base. That's what ended up being the first hit of the game. and it led to the first of the 2 earned runs that he allowed in his 6 innings pitched. He took up 76 pitches to go 6 innings.
Man.
If it was 2007, he'd be going out for the 7th.
Yes, he would.
So, I mean, that's really all I had to take away from that game was the Brewers offense struggled and Henderson was really good. Just offense wasn't really able to come through for him, but he's going to get to go out there and pitch again. So he's going to tell you, he would tell you after the game that he put the team in a chance to win, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, I just like you did with a loss that we had to Arizona, I wanted to talk about how the Brewers still had a chance. This team always gives themselves a chance.
Yeah.
They very rarely get blown out.
Right.
So giving yourself a chance in every game is a good place to be in.
Mm-hmm.
You got to capitalize on some of these opportunities, and I'm using that as a segue to go to the Brewers and Cardinals game, which the Brewers were, we talked about that Nationals game where they didn't really give themselves too many people on base, 0 for 5 runners in score position in that one, but 2 for 12 in this first game versus the Cardinals. This one really felt like one that they let get away more than they lost. Chad Patrick, 3 1/3, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, and 3 walks. He also had 4 strikeouts, so have to give him credit where it's due. But man, he is so hot and cold, man. If he is not, he's either hitting too much of the plate or he's just like an inch and a half outside, and it's just like those margins seem so small. But to them, those guys who do this all year round for years and years and years, an inch and a half is a lot for those guys.
Yeah.
So I feel like he's right there, most of the games, but just those 4 earned runs were just tough to overcome.
Okay, so I get that there's a little bit of a velocity difference in the 2 guys, but I feel like that's the difference between being Adrian Hauser and being Brandon Woodruff.
I would agree. Got to give credit to Deal Hall again. Inning and 2/3, nothing earned, 0 walk, 2K, so good from him. Drone was good as well. But the biggest news of the day, now Rengifo and Terang had RBIs. Terang had 2 of them, and he popped another home run, so he's up to 5, tied for the team lead. But welcome back Jackson Chourio and Andrew Vaughn. I don't want to just give it to just Jackson Chourio because Vaughn is a very important piece to this Brewers team.
Yep.
Vaughn, I'm not going to steal your words, but I agree with you. 0 for 4 and a K, so I'm going to let you talk about what you thought about him. But Jackson Chourio was just – this guy is from another freaking planet, dude. 4 for 4, a run, a walk, 2 doubles and 2 singles. He hit the first one 108.3, hit a single 102.8, hit a single 105.7, and he hit another double 109.2. A sweeper, sinker, slider. He had 4 hits on 3 different pitches, and they were all at least 102 miles an hour, dude. This guy's a freak, man.
Dude's probably just been sitting at home. I could just picture Jackson Chourio sitting at home with his knee bouncing, just crunching a baseball in his hand, in his good hand, just waiting to come back and murder baseballs.
I was going to wait to say this until we got to today's game, but I'm going to use it right now since we're just giving him all his flowers. Originally, when he got that contract, before he played his first game 2 years ago, you're like, dude, why the hell would you give this to a 20-year-old kid, right? Now I'm sitting here at 20. Well, he's 22 years old, and I'm telling you right now, he is the best bargain in baseball.
100%.
He is under freaking paid.
Oh, yeah.
This guy should be getting $180 million right now.
I think when he first got paid, we were talking about him being a potential 2026 MVP candidate.
Yeah.
And obviously he's not going to bat 800 for the season, but
yeah.
I mean, the way that he came back in his first 2 games, if you want to project that out for the rest of the season, he's a true superstar.
He really is. He was probably, I don't know, a couple degrees away from smashing his first home run. I think he might have broke something on the fence in right field with a smash that he had today. That was loud. I don't think that you got a chance to see it, but I'm telling you right now, it was loud, bro.
I was loud. Listening to the radio call, so I didn't get to see it.
Boom! Yet. I was like, holy shit, dude. That was a baseball hitting that? It was insane. But, Brewers just, again, runners in scoring position, didn't get it done. The rest of the bullpen picked it up very nicely for Chad Patrick, who struggled a little bit. Woodford gave up a run, but this is just one of those games where it was just kind of the Brewers got a home run from Terang in the top of the ninth to kind of cut the lead, but it didn't really matter much, honestly.
Yeah. Not quite the same as like the day where they put the Tigers on like scare notice a little bit.
Yeah.
But made the scoreboard look a little more respectable at the end of the day. Chad Patrick, like you said, he's a really interesting guy. Like, I don't think he's ever going to be the ace of the staff, but I really feel like he's a solid back end of the rotation guy.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting the fact that he's using his cutter more. Pat Murphy's talked about him using his cutter more and trusting his cutter. And then he uses the four-seam fastball as his change of pace pitch.
Mm-hmm.
It gets really interesting because you talk about a guy who's got a cutter or a four-seam fastball or whatever, and he uses a changeup to the change of pace. So it's a ball that, it spins the same, but it's 6 to 8 miles an hour slower. But then Chad Patrick throws a 92-mile-an-hour cutter, and then he throws a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. And it's a little bit different. It can be effective for him. Like, we've seen it be effective for him. Unfortunately, in this game, he gave up 7 hits, which is a lot. But I still somehow don't understand how the ball that was in Garrett Mitchell's glove got overturned. So, I mean, you can take one away for that. But after that, his cutter was really yanking towards the left-handed batter's box. And he got down 2-0 with the bases loaded, and he got into a situation where he had to throw a strike, and he gave up a 3-run double that ended his day. 4 of the earned runs that he gave up all scored except for one via the walk. Like, that's, the 3 walks, all of them scored. It's a tough spot to be in. That hurts you. Those walks hurt. That's why we pay attention to them. Had 4 strikeouts, but only 64 pitches, only 10 of 20 on first pitch strikes. Like, that's not a great situation to be in. So just not Chad Patrick's best day, but it's not going to be something where I'm like, all right, we need to send Chad Patrick down and keep Logan Henderson up. Like, I'm not to that point yet.
Yeah.
But I mean, we'll see how Henderson's next start goes. I mean, if you're Matt Arnold, it might be something you have to consider.
Yeah.
That's part of being the general manager. But Jackson Churio, like you said, had a great day back. He had 4 hits and a walk. He was on base 5 times, and he was patient until he wasn't. The second double that he had was a first pitch, and it was a breaking ball that was hung at the top of the zone. So I'm going to use Jackson Churio as the perfect example here. So he had the 4 hits and the walk. His last plate appearance was a first pitch double. I'm going to call it selectively aggressive. That's the way that I'm going to call it, because Jackson Churio executed that perfectly. If somebody's going to ask me what I mean when I'm like, oh, well, the Brewers offense is struggling and they're taking too many pitches, I want them to be more aggressive. And then I'm going to praise somebody else for being patient at the plate. It's selectively aggressive. It's not Javi Baez up there swinging at every single pitch just because you want to swing at every single pitch. That's not what I'm advocating for when I say that I want guys to be more aggressive and swing at more pitches. I want guys to swing at more good pitches and do a little bit less waiting for the perfect pitch.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. So being selectively aggressive, but also not being overly passive by waiting for the perfect pitch. Because again, even in baseball, the most successful people fail at the plate 70% of the time. So waiting for that perfect pitch doesn't guarantee you anything. You can swing at the good ones. You don't have to wait for the perfect ones. Andrew Vaughn, he got hit by a pitch, and he got screwed on 2 pitches of what ended up being a looking strikeout, and then had a flyout. I feel like it was kind of hard to judge his return. We can talk about him a little bit better when we get to today's game. Luis Rengifo, weirdest hitter in baseball. Hit the ball hard, really bad. Hit the ball soft, really good. Opposite field soft grounders are good for Luis Rengifo, but if he hits the ball hard, his batting average sucks. Baseball.
That is such a baseball thing, dude.
And then Bryce Durang, like, yes, he got a home run, but to me, the impressive part is where that pitch was located. Dude, that pitcher had to be pissed because that pitch was like perfectly located on the low inside corner to a left-handed hitter, and it was like just barely going to be touching the strike zone. Like, it would have been a perfect pitch. And Bryce Durang's just like dead center over the fence. Like, that's tough. Like, yes, the Brewers lost the game, but that's a tough pitch for Bryce Durang to hit out of the ballpark.
It's fair.
And then just the relievers. DL Hall, an inning and 2/3, very reliable. No hits, no walks, 2 strikeouts, 24 pitches. Boom, done. Droin, really good 6th. He allowed a couple base runners in the 7th. Grant Anderson allowed one of them to score as an inherited runner. But despite missing some guys and the fact that they've had some performance issues in the bullpen, I'm not as worried about it as I was about 2 weeks ago. So they've done a good job to assuage some of those concerns. Today's game, I was very, very busy, man, at work today, so I don't have tons of takeaways from today. One thing I'm going to say is Joey Ortiz made a 9th inning error that allowed a run to score. The Brewers still won the game. Uribe picked him up by getting a ground into a double play on the next pitch, so Uribe picked him up. Good job there. Jackson Churio, 2 of 5, 3 hard hit balls with another extra base hit. That's something the Brewers have been desperately needing, and they're getting it. Not to mention extra base hit. Andrew Vaughn, 3 out of his 4 plate appearances were hard hit balls. All 4 of his at-bats were balls in play. Did not make an out at the plate, so good job there. And obviously the first inning home run. Brewers went from a 0 on base, 2-out situation to a hit by pitch after a single and then another single and then the home run. So great job. The Brewers, I mean, the first inning exit velocities on their own. 77.0 was Sal Frelick's ground out. 99.0, another ground out. And then 100.5, the hit by pitch, 108.9 and 102.8. So the Brewers hitting the ball hard. You love to see that. But just again, thankfully, Gary Mitchell was scratched with an illness and not anything more serious. But it put the Brewers in a position to win 3 out of 5 on their road trip. If you can win more games than you lose on the road, that puts you in a really good position. And just keep winning series. And we'll have a doubleheader, I think, in July with St. Louis.
July 7th.
The 7th? Okay. So, yeah, we'll have a doubleheader later this year with the Cardinals. But other than that, I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to say about today's game.
Yeah, Brandon Sproat came out, and he was just throwing the kitchen sink. He was mixing everything up there, getting strikeouts. When he was missing close. So he wasn't far off. I think that Dillard made a really good point that with the day off yesterday and then the day off tomorrow, that the bullpen was just kind of wide open for the Brewers. So it wasn't like they were going to ask Sproat to be stretched out to go 5 or 6 innings today.
Yeah.
They were just going to tell him to, hey, you finish what you can finish, and then we're going to pick you up after that. So that's pretty much what happened. Want to talk about the hit that he gave up because it was questionable. Could have been an error, in my opinion. Just a really tough play. I mean, I guess you can call it a hit, but that's probably a play that I would expect David Hamilton to say that he should make.
Yeah.
Is where I come away with it, where I'm just like, probably an error, in my opinion. So Sproat, really good. DL Hall only needed 11 pitches through 8 strikes for his inning. He was super efficient. Hello, goodbye. And now I hand it over to Aaron Ashby, who gave you 2 really good innings and got his 6th win of the year, which ties him for the lead in MLB, bro. He is tied for the MLB lead in wins, bro. That guy's not even a fucking starter.
We might have to start the hype train for Aaron Ashby to win Cy Young.
Seriously, I'm telling you, this guy's going to win.
Again, if it was 2007 again, Aaron Ashby would be number 1 in Cy Young right now.
Bro, he's going to win like 13 games this year, and we're going to be like, you're
pace for 20.
He is, dude. I said that earlier. I joked. I was like, dude, this guy's going to win 20 games. He doesn't stop screwing around. And he has 0 losses, so 6-0. So he's been – Aaron Ashby, man, he – honestly, thing that we could say, he might win the reliever of the year, dude.
Yeah.
He's
going to be – I mean, right now it's Mason Miller's award to lose because that dude's insane. But
yeah.
I mean, Ashby put himself in that conversation.
We get to see the Yankees, so we get to see Aaron Judge, and we get to see Mason Miller after that. So, not great.
I mean, at least we don't have to go Alcantara, Skubal, and Skeens anymore.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Trevor McGill gave up a run and a couple hits in his inning, and Uribe gave up a hit, which, again, could have been questionable, and then an earned run. The Brewers had 6 at-bats today where they saw at least 7 pitches or more, so that's pretty impressive. The offensive approach was much better today, I thought. Brewers are also 13-0, and they lead by 4 at any point in the game, so Love to hear that. 2-hit day from Vaughn, including the big punch in the first homer of the year. You talked about how it started, a 2-out single from Terang, then the Contreras hit by pitch. Bauers went oppo RBI single, so I want to point that out. Jake Bauers has been using opposite field a little bit more. His contact has been a lot better this season, I'll say that.
That is something that will make me calm way down on Jake Bauers.
So really, really good at bat from him to get Vaughn up to the plate, for him to crush a home run. All the runs the Brewers scored today were off 2-out RBI, so love that as well. Jackson Choyo had 6 hits in his first 2 games of the season, which is the most by a Brewer since Cecil Cooper had 7 in 1982. That's incredible, dude. That's literally incredible. This guy is amazing.
That's like
other than
3
that,
hits per game average. If he plays, call it 100 games this year, 300 hits this season. All right.
Oof. Don't know about that, but I will say,
just batting like 550.
Part of his growth was laying off those sliders outside.
Yeah.
And on Monday, he got a walk laying off the slider outside. And I'm like,
I think out of all his at-bats that I've seen so far, I think he's swung at 1.
I'm telling you, dude, if he stops laying off that junk and people are forced to pitch to him, the way that this guy's hands are so quick and he generates power, dude, I'm telling you, bro, this guy is – and then we got another one brewing down in the minors, bro.
Medium take. I feel like if he continues with that plate discipline, I feel like he could break Lucroy's doubles record for a season.
Oh, 100% because of his speed alone, dude.
Yeah.
So I agree. Because he'll have some singles that, like, a guy's being a little lackadaisical on, that he might stretch into a double. So he might get 1 or 2 of those per season if he plays 111 games or something like that. So, I mean, it's impressive. Really, really solid all-around win for the Brewers. I thought the pitching was good. I thought the defense was good. Outside of the error from Joey Ortiz, which, again, I don't understand how you call that one an error, because that one took a really weird late bounce, but then you don't call the one to David Hamilton an error. I would love to know why one was an error and why one wasn't. So, I mean, it is what it is.
Almost have like an official score report at the end of the game.
I mean, I would just like to hear, type something up, or just a little video real quick of
I mean, it doesn't have to be super long. I mean, if it's like the last 2-minute report that the league does, a couple paragraphs.
Yeah, or
a little blurb about
video.
Each play.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah, I'd be interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so next week we will only have 4 Brewer games to talk about because there's no Brewer game tomorrow. So we have Friday through Sunday against New York. Then they're off Monday, and then we'll have next Tuesday game 1 against San Diego. So only have 4 Brewer games next week. But also coming next week is going to be our AA report. Today is AAA. We're going to have our AA report, and then Jake's holding up the Bucks can. We're going to talk about Taylor Jenkins next week. He was introduced today. So I was listening to some of that introductory press conference. I'm going to go watch the whole thing in whole this evening.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're also going to talk about some player usage. Taylor Jenkins spoke pretty highly of a lot of players. I mean, Miles Turner and Bobby Portis were there in person today for Taylor Jenkins' introduction. And obviously there's lots of guys on this team that have familiarity from when Taylor Jenkins was here in Milwaukee during Budenholzer's tenure. So there's some of these guys that are familiar with him already.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll discuss the player usage that can change from Doc Rivers last year to what Taylor Jenkins can do with them next year, things that we'd like to see. And we'll discuss Taylor Jenkins as the new Bucks head coach. So that's happening next Wednesday as well.
Yeah, I'm super excited for that, man.
Yeah. All right, let's give some people some information. We're going to end today with our first Brewers minor league report. Today we are talking about AAA Nashville, and the way that we're going to do this is Jake and I are going to alternate on things. So today Jake is covering AAA hitters, and I'm covering AAA pitchers. Next week, Jake's going to cover AA pitchers, and I'm going to cover AA hitters, and we're going to alternate that way. And then next month we're going to do it differently so that you're getting Jake and I's opinions throughout this season on what the farm system looks like through our eyes, looking at the stats, kind of where we think guys are going to kind of figure into the major league roster, if so and when. And then I also wrote down some of the guys who are on the prospect list. So Jake, do you want to go hitters first, or do you want me to go first with the pitchers?
I think I want to go hitters first.
All right,
So,
I dig it.
Yeah, I feel like pitching has kind of been the bee's knees for the Brewers over the last 10 years, kind of thing that's kind of shaped this team. So I'll go hitters first here. So team batting average, took a couple team stats, then I talked about a couple players here. Especially, some of the names that you'll probably know and people that I think have a real shot, like the only people that I think have a real shot to make an impact either this year or next year on the team.
Yeah. There's definitely pitchers too where I look at them and I'm like, that guy's AAA and not getting any higher.
Yeah. So batting average, I almost said the Brewers. The Nashville Sounds are batting .250 for a team average. That's 13th out of 20 in their league. They're last in home runs with 25, 14th out of 20 in RBIs. They have the third least amount of strikeouts. So there's a common theme clearly going on between the Brewers and their minor league teams. On base percentage, they are fifth at .360. OPS, they have 732 OPS. That's 14th out of 20 teams. And slugging, they are 16th out of 20 teams.
Well, that does sound like the Brewers, damn.
I'm telling you, I was like, oh my God. So a couple people that I covered. One was Jefferson Carroll. I'm going to say his name correctly. I apologize if I said it wrong. He has 94 at bats this year, 234 average, 3 home runs, 18 RBIs, a stolen base, and a 715 OPS. So just for clarification, MLB OPS average per player is 696. I still have the screenshot on my phone here. So MLB average is roughly 696 to a little above 7. The National League is 703 to 709. And for evaluation, 700 OPS is about league average. 750 would be a solid everyday starter. 800 OPS would be a very good hitter. And a 900 OPS is like, that guy is like real good.
Yeah.
So 700, he's a good player. He's still super young.
Yeah.
All these guys are still very, very young in their lower 20s. So the next guy I have, he's not on the 40-man. Jefferson Carroll is on the 40-man roster, by the way, for anybody who wants to know. Luis Lara, not on the 40-man. He's 21 years old. He's 5'7", 169 pounds, 119 at-bats, 336 average, 6 home runs, 16 RBIs, 12 stolen bases, and a 970 OPS. So he is absolutely raking right now. Just Mighty Mouse down there, 5'7", 169. I was like, I knew he was small, but I was like, Jesus Christ, dude.
We need to have a conversation about Luis Lara because I love Brandon Snide. I do. He started his stuff around the same time that we did, and he absolutely 100% knows ball. But Brandon and I disagree with you strongly on Luis Lara because he's super young, and if you bring him up to MLB, there is no guaranteed at-bats for him.
Yeah.
Like, you're in a position where how much better does your team get by your 4th/5th outfielder improving strongly? If he was better than one of your starters, then we have that conversation. But Luis Lara batting better than Blake Perkins and Greg Jones, who were now sent down with Churio and Vaughn being activated, and him batting better than Brandon Lockridge probably would on an everyday basis, even though I gave you Brandon Lockridge's numbers at scoring position.
Yeah.
It doesn't improve the major league roster that much to have Luis Lara be your 4th outfielder right now.
Yeah, and he's
Especially
only 21.
with Christian Yelich being like a week or 2 out.
Yeah. Again, he's only 21. So just let him fully cook.
Let him bat 15 times a week instead of 5.
Yes. So Brock Wilken, a guy who was a first round pick by the Brewers a couple of years ago, not on the 40-man. He's only 23 years old. He is 6'4", 237. This is a big man. 107 RBIs. He's only batting 168. He has 2 home runs, 18 RBIs, 3 stolen bases. He has a 616 OPS, so he's a little struggling at the plate a little bit. Jet Williams, one of the big pieces that the Brewers got in the Freddie Peralta trade, also not on the 40-man roster. He's 22 years old. Also only 5'7", 123 at bats. He has over 1,000 at bats in his minor league career. 236 average, 3 home runs, 16 RBIs, 8 stolen bases, and a 697 OPS. So his OPS is pretty solid. He's a guy that could play short, second base, and outfield. So he's kind of positional player. A guy who is on the 40-man roster, only 21 years old. This is a guy that's been getting a lot of talk lately. And now you talked about it with Ortiz. He's not going to get sent down, for Pratt in the next week or two, right? And I've been a little bit impatient. I got to stop doing that. I got to give Joey Ortiz a chance to, because he does play pretty good. He's very good on defense. He had the error today, but he has a slick glove. But just the at-bats just feel so empty. He tries everything. He puts his beard in all kinds of formations, shaves his head. He went with one batting glove today in one of his at-bats. I mean, he's trying every trick in the book to try to get these hits. But a guy, Cooper Pratt, who's been on fire for the last 2 weeks, by the way, on the season. And this guy's a big guy. He's 6'4", 210. That's pretty big, following the trend of the bigger shortstops. This is the guy that we drafted in the third round, if I remember correctly, out of high school. So they had to pay him a little bit extra money to make him not go to college. 93 at-bats this year. He has a 226 average, a home run, 8 RBIs, 9 stolen bases, and a 671 OPS. But over the last couple of weeks, he's just been mashing doubles and stealing bases. And he had a game where he had a double and a triple. So he went 2 for 4 at the plate with a double and a triple. So that'll help the slugging percentage out. But Cooper Pratt, also just 21 years old, and you don't want to make them graduate too early, but if Ortiz continues on this slide, we could start having that conversation in June where it's like, okay, maybe we bring Cooper Pratt up and give him a shot.
Yeah. And that's where I was looking at. Cooper Pratt was in the middle of 2026. That's kind of what I was saying. Like if Joey Ortiz isn't cutting it by the midsummer, then it's probably time to try Cooper Pratt.
Sure.
Especially with the extension that he's given, that kind of takes away the service time aspect of it a little bit.
Yep.
You don't have to think about that quite as much because his contract's already in place.
Yep.
So it makes that a little bit easier from that perspective of not wanting to necessarily have to protect service time. So I still am willing to stay around that 4th of July area, the All-Star break area, of when to swap Joey Ortiz and Cooper Pratt.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else you wanted to mention in AAA?
No, there was really, a lot of the guys, to be honest with you, are just kind of guys that are only going to come up in really special situations. I just wanted to cover some of the main guys that could have an impact in the next year or two.
Yeah, if it was last season, like how much time would you want to spend on a guy like Anthony Siegler, like, stuff like that? Maybe a month from now, we'll have a couple different conversations and maybe throw a couple more guys in there. But, the big ones, I think, are the ones that you covered. And, if people want to get nuts and cover everybody that's on the roster, let us know. We're open to suggestion. That's part of why we do the show live, is so we can take those suggestions. So, as far as the pitchers go, I did take notes on just about everybody, but I spend a little bit less time on the guys who really aren't going to be important to the Brewers this year. But looking at starters, Logan Henderson, he's their number 6 prospect on the roster. He's currently playing for the Milwaukee Brewers. He's made 5 appearances, 3 of them are starts. He's pitched a little 17 2/3 innings. Has 12 hits, 9 walks with 26 strikeouts. So he's got more strikeouts than base runners allowed, which is amazing. A 140 opponent batting average, and he's only allowed 2 earned runs. So he's a 102 ERA in AAA. He's a piece. He is for sure a piece in the Brewers' future. He's averaging 13 1/4 strikeouts per 9 innings, and has a 133 opponent batting average with runners in scoring position.
Damn.
Yeah. Robert Gasser, he is the Brewers' number 16 prospect currently. He's made 4 starts. He's pitched 13 2/3 innings. He's got a 3.95 ERA, but he's got 22 strikeouts, not 22 walks. 22 strikeouts to only 7 walks. That's pretty solid, but he has allowed 16 hits, so I'd like to see him start getting some length before he's in any situation where the Brewers consider calling up Robert Gasser. But we will probably see Robert Gasser this season. Like if Pat Murphy's talking, he's probably going to tell you that you'll see him this year for sure. I'm going to say probably, just because there's going to be spot starts, double headers, some injuries where a guy goes on the 15-day. Maybe they call up Robert Gosser to take DL Hall's role so DL Hall can take Aaron Ashby's role so Aaron Ashby can take on Zorpa's role like Jake just said a couple minutes ago.
Maybe.
So maybe that happens. Coleman Crow, the Brewers' number 26 prospect. He was actually drafted by the Angels out of high school in 2019. He missed 2024, but was acquired for Tyrone Taylor and Adrian Hauser. Was in AA for most of 2025. I know Javik Blake was super excited about him. He made 10 starts, 43 innings pitched, 52 strikeouts, and only 8 walks.
Damn.
He had a 2.50 ERA or 2.55 ERA. In 2026, we did see his debut in AAA so far this season. He's got 4 starts, 5 appearances, 25 innings pitched, 30 strikeouts, 11 walks. He does have a 5.40 ERA, but his debut was fantastic. He will be back.
I think so too.
Carlos Rodriguez, we've seen him kind of go up and down. We'll probably see him again. He's another one of those guys that can be called on to be a spot starter, a spot reliever. Kim, thank you for saying you love the new segment. You were one of the people who put us onto it, so we appreciate it.
Nice.
He's got 4 starts, 5 appearances, 16 innings pitched. He's got a 5.63 ERA, 17 strikeouts, 16 walks. But in Major League Baseball, we've seen him twice this season. He's pitched 4 innings. He has a 2.25 ERA, 5 strikeouts, and no walks. So good job by Carlos Rodriguez to step it up when he gets to the big leagues. A couple other guys. Shane Drowan's currently up with the Brewers. He's made 3 appearances in AAA. He's got 13 2/3 innings pitched, has a 3.95 ERA. So far in Major League Baseball, he's been pretty solid. Yes, he's got a 5.40 ERA, but he's made some pretty good appearances. And of the 5 earned runs he's given up this season, 3 of them came in 1 appearance versus Boston. So, his only start was the one where he gave up 3 of those earned runs, so that's kind of affecting his ERA. So if you see that high ERA, it shouldn't scare you away. Shane Drowan's done some pretty good things for the Brewers so far.
Mm-hmm.
And then Thomas Pannone, he's been a 17 journeyman. I'm not really super big on talking about him, but he was a AAA monster in 2024, and he didn't pitch all in 2025. But he's got a 1.0 ERA in 3 appearances and 2 starts so far. So maybe one of those guys that gets called up, makes a spot start, gets DFA'd and sent back down to AAA and then hangs out in AAA. And then maybe another guy to keep an eye on, a guy who spent a lot of his time in the minors in AA last year, but is Tate Kaner. He has a 2.50 ERA and 21 starts across 102 inning pitched in AA in 2025. So far in 2026, he's got 5 starts. He has a 4.15 ERA. 30 1/3 innings pitched. He's got 30 strikeouts and 14 walks. That's a little high, so he's got to get those walks down. And he's given up 14 earned runs. But if he can get those walks down, Tate Kaner will be a guy to keep an eye on. Maybe not in 2026, but definitely in 2027 to become one of those Carlos Rodriguez, Coleman Crow guys that gets brought up here and there, and then starts helping the team out that way. Looking at the bullpen, the main guy to know is obviously going to be Craig Yoho. He's the Brewers' number 28 prospect. He's got a crazy changeup. We talked about him a little bit last year. We got to see his debut last year. But he's going to be a future factor in the Brewers' late inning bullpen. So far this season, he's made 6 appearances. He's pitched 6 1/3 innings, 3 hits, 8 Ks, 2 walks, as a 2.84 ERA. So he's out to a pretty solid start. He has allowed 2 home runs. Those are the only hits that he's allowed. But they were both solo home runs. So that's good, limiting the traffic there, and has faced 0 batters with runners in scoring position.
Oh, wow.
So in 6 appearances, he has not put a batter in scoring position. Yes, he's allowed 2 runs, but they were both solo homers. So not a lot of traffic coming against Craig Yoho. He's off to a really good start. We will see him in Milwaukee this year.
I think so too.
Brian Fitzpatrick is currently up. I did tease this earlier that I was going to give you his AAA stats because they're pretty crazy. He's made 10 appearances, has pitched 10 1/3 innings, has 2 unearned runs, 11 strikeouts, 2 walks, has a 0 ERA, a 2.12 opposing batting average, and a .87 whip.
Damn.
And then he has an 0.83 opponent batting average with runners in scoring position.
That will get you called up to the big show. That's
Imagine
very
succeeding 8% of the time.
good. Wow.
Yeah.
That's very good.
That's like the Brewers being 2 for 12 in game 1 against the Cardinals. Cut that in half.
Yeah, seriously.
Easton McGee, another guy we've already seen up and down. He's made 8 appearances. He's got a 6.39 ERA. He's an up and down guy. That's where we're at with Easton McGee. Blake Holub, we will not see. He's got a 4.41 ERA in 13 appearances. He's a AAA guy. Drew Rom, similarly, he's a 4.30 ERA in 13 appearances. Garrett Stallings is a 29-year-old in AAA. He's probably not going to be a factor in the bigs, but he was traded for from the Orioles for Thiago Vieira and another prospect in 2024. But he's been in AAA for the last 4 years of his career with a 4.71 ERA across those 4 years. So probably not going to see him unless, again, you need a guy you're going to call up in DFA right away. But that's kind of where I'm at with him. Caleb Bowman's got a 7.84 ERA in 9 appearances. Joe Corbett's got a 6 ERA in 5 appearances. Peter Strzelecki, he's a guy who's got major league experience, so I did put him on the maybe list. But he's currently allowing a 400 batting average with runners in scoring position and has a 5.40 ERA. So maybe we'll see Peter Strzelecki this year, but not anytime soon.
Nope.
The 2 guys that I want to keep an eye on for AAA, and Jake, I'm going to pass these names to you, is Reese Kinnear. He has he's made 5 appearances. He's got 5 2/3 innings pitched. He's got 5 Ks and 6 walks, which is a little high. But he's only allowed 1 hit, and it was a solo home run. So he's got a 1.59 ERA. He is 29 years old, but he's been really, really good for the Sounds in mid-relief. So I see Reese Kinnear as maybe, and I don't want this to happen, but if a guy like Grant Anderson were to get injured, that's the kind of guy that I think Reese Kinnear could help with. And then before I get to Michael's comment, the last guy that I really want to keep an eye on, really, really keep a close eye on, is Will Childers. He's made 9 appearances. He's pitched 10 innings. He's got 13 strikeouts, only 3 walks, and 7 hits. So another guy like Craig Yoho, who's got more strikeouts than base runners allowed. He's 4 for 5s on save situations, and he's split 2024 between AA and AAA. So I'm very intrigued by Will Childers. He's going to be an eye that I want to keep a close eye on.
I wrote them down, and I wrote keep an eye on, and then keep a very close eye on, like awkwardly close eye on.
An awkwardly close eye on.
I had to write it down, dude. I have to make myself laugh every once in a while.
All right. And Michael's comment. Michael said the injuries to start out this year have been disappointing, especially to Zerpa, Woody, and Priester. Thankfully, Woody, hopefully it sounds like more of a fatigue thing than an injury. Zerpa is really unfortunate. Having a Tommy John surgery, that sucks. There's no way around it. It sucks for everybody.
Yeah.
Next man up overall has worked. Depth has been a strength that we'll need to continue to lean on. How about the contribution in just 2 games from Churio and Vaughn? I mean, it's great to have those guys. We've been circling that on the calendar since they've been hurt.
Completely reshaped the lineup, dude. Completely reshaped it. Evened it out a lot more. Yep. Now you're getting a lot less empty at-bats, especially with Churio in there. He's just a guy that's going to compete every at-bat. And then Vaughn's just such – if he can have – like, he needs to prove that last year when he came over wasn't just a fluke. If he can continue that power, that is massive get. And I will give Jake Bauers a little bit of credit, a guy that usually comes off the bench, but – you know, being thrown into a starter's role when he thought he was maybe going to platoon at best to start this year. So he did a really nice job, and he's been pretty solid defensively, in my opinion. So I like our
for the most part, yeah.
I like our first base. We just need to fix shortstop at third base, man.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where, like, yes, we can appreciate the depth now that the starters are back. Mm-hmm. But I think not necessarily we and, like, the people that follow us, because I think we have a pretty intelligent following, I think Brewers fans as a whole need to give a little bit of grace to those guys who are the depth pieces.
Yeah.
Like guys like Blake Perkins being forced into bigger roles than they were supposed to have at the beginning of the season. Guys like Greg Jones. I mean, like Joey Ortiz isn't a depth piece. He is as far as your batting order is concerned. Same with like David Hamilton. Like previously, like those utility kind of guys that are your depth pieces, those guys need a little bit of grace because they're not supposed to be your starters. So treating them and critiquing them like starters, it's just a recipe for everybody to be pissed off all the time.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, just chill out a little bit.
I agree.
So I think there's an opportunity to give some grace to some of those depth guys because they're not meant to be our starters. That's just not the position the Brewers are in. But injuries will put you in those positions. So I think there can be some grace given to some of those guys. I mean, Andre Monasterio was one of those guys. The thing about him is he just always came to the park with a smile on his face, so he was super easy to like. But
yep.
You know, depth guys they should not be critiqued the way that starters are. Like Blake Perkins and Jackson Chourio should not be held to the same standard.
No.
So give a little bit of grace to those guys. Keep watching us. Come back next week. We're going to have a handful of Brewer games, a smaller handful. We're going to have a AA report for you next week. Jake's going to cover the pitchers, and I'm going to cover the hitters because I wanted to call dibs on the AA hitters because I was right on Blake Burke because I'm a certified ball knower, as is Jake, who definitely is going to be right on the Astros. But we're also going to be coming to discuss Taylor Jenkins and the different ways that the Bucks can use some of their players next week. So tune into that next week, and we'll see you guys then. Michael said he was hoping this was the year that shortstop was going to be Ortiz was going to be bust out at the plate. Might be time to make the switch. Not yet. Not until Jake says dog days 733 times for the summer.
Not yet, but I do need everybody in the comments to do one thing for me. Make sure you share the live, okay? Share the live on your pages. Like it, comment, and come back next week.
All righty. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys next week.